Happy Monday, and welcome to Audacity Presents. I am Mary Tabe, and I have my traveling buddy, sidekick, whatever we want to call it. We wanted to come back on today and give you a recap of our travels in Egypt. If you've seen the video before, we gave you a recap of the Israel travels. And so now we want to tell you about the second part of our trip because we went on to Egypt while others went back to Israel. So, Yolanda.
Yeah.
We spent 5 days in Egypt, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about the drive to Egypt, because that was like 5 or 6 hours on the bus.
Well, I would have to say if we were part of the planning, because actually we spent 2 days on the road getting to Cairo. I would rather have had just one long day and an extra day, because I just felt like the days that we did have to tour, it was rushed. And so we'll get more into that. So I would have to say that was probably the the biggest area of opportunity for the entire trip was the logistics and the planning, because we didn't.
But I mean, the bus ride was still good. And you got some good sleep.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'd rather have just slept 1 day versus 2 days. But,
right.
You live and learn and you make adjustments as you go.
Yeah. So how did you feel like when we get ready to cross the border? Like, I was praying a lot because our travel rep was like, hey, be calm. You might be bum rushed by a lot of porters when you get there.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't
that bad.
It was nothing like, so I'm glad he prepared. I would rather for it to be over prepared versus under prepared.
Yeah.
But it was pretty much a smooth transition.
Okay, but did you see our travel guide? Like, he was up there talking with the agents as we were getting ready to cross the border.
Yeah.
And it looked like, I know they talk aggressive over there, but I'm like, is he getting ready to fight? But nonetheless, we made it across the border. We made it across the border.
Several borders, several checkpoints. I mean, Egypt, just be prepared when you go for the checkpoint.
For sure. Okay, so I may have mentioned in the last video, our trip to Egypt, we stayed in 3 different hotels. So let's talk about hotel number 1, which was slamming.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was right there on the beach.
It was right there. It was beautiful.
It was beautiful.
Go to the blog and look at the pictures. I mean, it's such a nice place, a romantic place, couples place. Actually, you can just stay in that hotel and really not leave.
And it was right there at the border. Like, once we crossed the border, we probably could have walked over to that hotel.
Yeah, it was very nice.
It was a different world. I think it was called Movenbeek. I think that's it. I would put that in the notes. But it was a beautiful hotel. We got changed. We went down to the beach. And I was getting ready to say we went down to the beach and did our thing, but I'm not. This is a church trip. I'm not gonna go there. But we did go to the beach. We relaxed,
and we did what people do when they relax on the beach. We'll just leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that. Okay, so then we got up the next morning on our way to Mount Sinai, which that ride, it was a beautiful ride. It was just a couple of hours ride. We're not just sitting on the bus. Our tour guide is telling us about the Red Sea and the mountains and the Bedouin people. And so it's a very educational ride. We don't do a lot of just non-talking. The guide is talking.
Yeah, when you're awake and listening.
And the fact that, I had told you guys we had Wi-Fi on the bus when we were in Israel, but because we were in the mountains and the desert in Egypt, Wi-Fi connection was a no-go, and so you were either asleep or listening to the tour guide.
And the tour guide, his accent was a lot thicker than the other. So it was a little bit harder to understand.
But he was good, though.
Yeah, he was good, but
he had that. I'm sorry, he had that mafia effect. I mean, he was just very aggressive. That's how they are in their speech.
Yeah, he was.
He was good. He was good. Shout out to Rita on that. Let's talk about the difference between the food in Egypt and the food in Israel.
You just skipped on the hotel. The hotels. You didn't want to talk about hotel number 2.
We're gonna talk about hotel number 2.
Okay. The food. Let's go. Okay.
The food. Could you tell there was a difference?
Not
really.
not like a major difference.
Right,
It might have been some subtle differences, but like the fruits and vegetables for the main part was the same. The meats were the same. Now in Egypt, they did have some pork. Yeah. Versus in Israel.
Get some pork at?
You remember them sausages?
What's that pork?
Well, that's what they called it, but I mean, it was different. I didn't. They said one of them was chicken, and I just assumed the other one was pork.
Okay, I don't know about that one, but okay.
I didn't eat, because when sausages don't look like sausages in America, I mean, we really don't know what's in our sausage, but we're used to eating it. But
you really couldn't tell. No. But I think the food was really about the same, with all the vegetables, the fruits. And the pastries.
Oh, the pastries, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, the pastries.
The pastries were really good.
Really good.
Okay. So on our travel to Mount Sinai, we had, and I can't remember if this is when we were going to Egypt itself or Mount Sinai. I remember when the guy got on the bus with the gun and he walked through. I don't know if he was asleep.
I think I woke up at the end and I was like,
who is this?
I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going back to sleep. And wake up to a better sight than what's going on here.
That was interesting. He got on with a gun, walked the bus, looking at different people in the seats, but didn't say anything. And then he went back out the back door. So that was just one of the checkpoints. But anyway, on our way to Mount Sinai, we made it to Mount Sinai. We went to St. Catherine's Monastery, where it is said that is the place of the burning bush, where where God spoke to Moses. I don't know how you felt about that this bush has been kept alive all these. It was very much in bloom.
Yeah, it's up in this. It's quite a ways up in the mountain. And one thing about Mount Sinai is, I guess that was striking for me, is, our mountains here, it's like they're like, you can like segregate. Like
right.
Mount Sinai is really one huge mountains.
Yeah.
So my whole thing was like, we know that it's in the vicinity, but I mean, like, I'm thinking like, if I go on the other side of the mountain, could I see another bush? I don't know. It's so vast to where you say, well, okay, I take it that we're in the vicinity, and it's just like as Pastor James was preaching today, that this stuff has been authenticated, but the exact area or the exact bush, we just don't know.
But that's what we saw, and then just some other things of St. Catherine's Monastery. Let's talk about. There were people in our group that climbed Mount Sinai, and I'm just gonna be real with y'all. I wanted to climb Mount Sinai.
No, let's keep it real. She was going up until maybe 20-30 minutes beforehand. But when they got to, I already told her I don't have to have bragging rights that I went to the top. I went to Mount Sinai. But when the tour guide started talking about everything that has to take place in order for you, I was just sitting there like, so people just said, no, I'm not going to be able to do it. But the good news is there was a large group of our people that still went ahead and did it. And everyone that did it said it was a challenge to complete it. So kudos to them that followed through. But you have to understand it's just not like a quick hike up the mountain and down the mountain. It's going to be anywhere from 6 to 7 hours
to go up and down.
And then not to mention there's nowhere for you to use the bathroom going up and coming down. Yeah.
But they want you to drink a lot of water and stay hydrated. And let me give you a few details about Mount Sinai. So you can walk it, or you can take a camel up part of the way. So there is a winding path that they said takes about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours on camel to make it up this path. And then when you get to the end of that path, then you do the 750 plus steps up to the top of Mount Sinai. Yeah. Now, some people said that was more than 750 steps.
Well, and then there were some people that said they were going to walk the whole thing, but then the people that are there, they follow them on the camel because they know at some point they're going to change their mind
Right.
and get on the camel. So
Right.
I think there were a few people that did the complete walk.
Yeah.
Some
And
people
got
started with the camel, and then some of them got a certain ways
Right.
through and then got on the camel.
Yeah.
But
so as Yolanda said, you're not just left by yourself going up Mount Sinai. There are Bedouin people, which are like the desert people that live out in the desert. They take tourists up this mountain all the time.
Mhm.
And so they are with you to help guide you up. There are no street lights, no street lights on the mountain. So you're either using your phone flashlight or taking a flashlight with you to go up the mountain and come back. Our group left about 1:30 in the afternoon. It was 8:30 that night when they got back.
And you also have to realize, like, when it's a group, I think it might have been like 11 or 12
Yeah,
that went.
yeah.
So, people climb at different pace, but what they have is kind of like these rest stations,
Yep.
like every 30, 45 minutes. So if someone is ahead of the group, then they, wait at the
Right.
Rest station and catch up with the group. So you're doing it as a group, but people are doing it at
their own pace. Yeah. So it was interesting. I hate I didn't get to climb it in a way, but then in another way, I'm like, my gut told me you don't want to do that. So we'll move on. So let's talk about the hotel. This hotel number 2.
Well, let's tell them what we did while they went up Mount Sinai.
Yeah.
So Mary mentioned the Bedouin people, and these people are what we would consider nomads. I guess we really don't have
a civilization, but it's out in the desert.
Yeah, this is. I mean, and so they live in tents. I mean, they live off the land, and even to the point where somebody said that their government had built them places to live, and they still choose to live in their tents.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting for me, coming from Oklahoma, the Native Americans that lived in teepees. Like, this is something that is kind of similar to what they did many years ago.
So while everybody else is climbing the mountain, we took a trip to one of the tea tents. That's what I'm calling them. I don't know if that was their name, but it was a tea tent, and it was basically a tent made out of goat hair.
Yeah.
Remember him talking about that?
It's like really big blankets. That is made out of goat hair, and the tent it's pretty big.
It is. It was like a pit group.
Yeah.
When you talk about a sectional.
Yeah. And so one side of it is their little store where they, make money doing things. And then the other side of it, I guess, is where they entertain people. And then on the back side of it is where they live. Yeah.
So we had some great tea in there, made out of tea leaves and herbs. And we were sitting on this sectional couch in this tent. They had music playing.
Comfortable. And the thing about it is, the tent is open year long. The way they have it set, in the summertime, it doesn't get too hot.
Right.
In the wintertime, it's open to a fire pit. The warmth come into the tent, and it's amazing when you sit there and you really see that these people live in these tents with very minimal technology. Now the man of the house, he did have a cell phone.
Everybody got a phone,
and it was a smartphone. But other than that, it wasn't much modern things in this tent. It was interesting.
It's like you can't miss what you never had. So if you ain't never had technology,
well, you got that cell phone,
but he did,
and you see how other people. And like I said, they make a conscious decision, and this is how they live. So.
Okay, so can we talk about hotel number 2?
We can talk about hotel.
So the tea tent was on the grounds of hotel number 2. Hotel number 2 is kind of like at the foot of Mount Sinai, 2 or 3 minutes away from Mount Sinai. It's a beautiful hotel on the outside. Look at and but there was only Wi-Fi in the lobby. I put that in the blog. There was only Wi-Fi in the lobby. Telephone, at least in some of the rooms, weren't working.
Yeah.
But what do you expect? You're out in the middle of the desert. There were no other hotels, no other options there. But go ahead, speak your mind.
That's why I say, we could have hit Mount Sinai early in the morning and then drove to somewhere else. Because for me, like we're staying in these fabulous hotels and stuff like that. And you get to this hotel, Mary said it was beautiful on the outside.
It was.
I mean, I guess she's appreciating the historical architect of this because it was
There you go, the architect. Yeah,
older
I
hotel.
don't think it was older.
I don't know.
It was new for that area.
I don't know.
Okay.
It was just,
All right.
it just, I mean, you can't give me these 5-star hotels and then take me to a hotel that is a -1 star. But you know what? I mean, we made it work. We did what we needed to do. But I mean, it's just not a hotel that I would have paid money
This
for.
is one of the things coming from America, from the US, and going to third world country.
Yeah.
Sometimes our expectations are based on where we come from.
Well, my expectation was with
Okay.
the hotels that they had given me previous to.
Okay, all right, all
And
right. All right.
they had warned us, like, you know what, this is gonna be more like a campsite. Because even when we went to Zambia, where we stayed was
True.
older, but it was more
True.
clean. I think that was the biggest. I just felt like it was dusty and dirty,
Okay.
and I was not prepared for that. Had I been prepared for that mentally, then we would have.
Okay.
And plus, I was sick at the time.
True. You weren't feeling well. That's
being
true.
sick and fighting a head cold, and it's just dusty, it just made things worse
Yeah.
for me. But we only stayed there for a night.
Just one night.
And we were up and early.
We were up and on our way.
We were
All right. So we left Mount Sinai, got up early the next morning, took a long ride to get to Cairo.
Yeah.
That's kind of what Yolanda meant with these long trips.
With these long, so that's what I'm saying. If we had gotten up like maybe in the middle of the night from our first hotel, got to Mount Sinai for early in the morning, did our 6-7 hours there, and then drove into the night.
Right.
And maybe found a hotel closer to Cairo, maybe not in Cairo. Then I think it would have been better than got up early the next morning, because I just felt like we lost a day of touring.
Yeah. I agree with you on that. So on our way to Cairo, still traveling in the desert, basically, to Cairo.
Yeah.
But we make it to Cairo, hotel number 3. How'd you feel?
Hotel number 3 was nice.
It was good.
And the thing about it, it's kind of weird. When we got into Cairo, it was a lot of new construction.
It was, yeah.
And it was very nice and modern and stuff. But as we got closer to our hotel, it was kind of like the older part.
Yeah.
And we never did go back to the up and coming part of Cairo. So I would have liked to spend some time there too.
Yeah.
But the hotel was
very nice.
Very nice.
Food was very good.
Food was very good.
Look, I just remember going to the restaurant at the hotel number 3, and they had spaghetti.
Oh yeah, the pasta station.
Spaghetti.
Yeah, the pasta station. I got the pasta station twice.
Yeah. So that was good. It was familiar.
And they had the meat spaghetti, not just the red sauce, the meat spaghetti.
Right.
And it was very good.
It was something familiar back home, and so that's why I was happy. So in Cairo, we got up the next morning and we went to the pyramids, which you read about that, but to actually be there at the pyramids.
Yeah. And that was the thing too. Like, I mean, we didn't really have a whole lot of time per se.
Right.
And so I know some people went in the pyramid, and we kind of just stayed outside of the pyramid and took pictures because we didn't really have a lot of time.
Right.
I mean, and that's when I go back to being able to tour a little bit longer. Like you could have spent a few hours at the pyramid just looking, taking notes, and then like we chose not to go inside of the pyramid because we didn't have that much time. So we were just kind of observing on the outside of the pyramid, and it's just amazing when you sit and you think, okay, these pyramids have been here this long. Like the technology, and one thing we have to remember is every time we go to Mount Sinai, every time we go we're going up, and we're going up on streets and stuff. They didn't have all of this. So the people that when they went up to these places and building these these pyramids and stuff, like they're having to, from the low part of it, and get these materials up. And Like I remember you tried to take a picture of me, like trying to get the full,
the full picture.
And it's like
massive.
It's like I was just like a little dot on this because it is just like, I don't know, it's just breathtaking. And when you look at the pictures, I mean, when I go back and look at the pictures, it puts me back in that place and time. But really, in order for you to get, you have to be there. And I know people say you have to be there to,
but this, you
you
read about it in school, history, you see it, but to be there and experience it is totally different. To see those 3 pyramids, we took a lot of pictures there, so you can go to the blog. My Holy Egypt Travels .wordpress.com and throw that in there. You can go and see pictures of that. We went to the Sphinx at Giza as well. I have seen that statue many places. Even as we talk, I don't really understand the whole gist of that. But you guys can do some research on that.
Yeah, but what I was thinking when we went there is like, they have replicas of that everywhere. So I guess we might need to go and do some research to see exactly what it means.
Yeah. So we also went to this place called Memphis, which used to be like the capital of Cairo, I believe, but no longer is, but yet it is a historical landmark. From there, we got to see the Nile River, where Moses was put in a basket floating down the Nile River. And we use the term river, but this thing is massive. I mean, when I think of a river, I think of a small, narrow path, but I mean, the Nile River is huge.
Like a lake or something.
Yeah.
And I guess when you're younger and you're thinking about Moses, you're thinking about like a creek in the back of your grandparents' house. Right. But no, it's
huge. Okay, so on the way, we saw the Nile River. We went to the Egyptian Museum. It was a lot.
And again, I'm going to say, I wish we had more time because we were
rushed. We didn't see the whole museum.
We were probably there about a good 3 or 4 hours. I mean, we was there a pretty good amount of time. But if you sit and you think about it, I think it was like 3 levels to this. And we just hit the high point.
Right.
Like we did enough in this museum to say we really could have spent, I feel like we could have spent all day at that.
For sure. I was thinking more like when I took my grandkids to the Perot Museum. I mean, that thing is 3 or 4 levels. It is huge, massive, and imagine going in there for like an hour and a half. There's no way you can cover everything.
And the things that we did cover, it was like, bam, bam, bam. Okay, we had to go here. Bam, bam, bam.
We got to go here.
So it's like you couldn't soak it in. And that was one of the places that had so much
artifacts.
Yeah. And then I guess for me, because, they say Black people, they were Black. And when you look at the statues and stuff and the facial features, yes, you could tell that they had the full noses. What they said is the statues represented whoever was in, like the king or the queen. So they tried to carve them to. But the one thing that was so puzzling to us is like, where did they get these almond eyes from? Like they had, I know, our facial features,
but the Asian type,
and
eyes.
they were fuller, but they were almond. It was just, I mean, it was interesting. So I'm a firm believer that they were of African American, or we,
I don't know about you, but our time in Egypt seemed like it went just like that. It was quick.
It was quick.
Yeah.
And then, we did some shopping.
We're gonna talk about that.
Yeah, because I was trying to bring my brother a cartouche.
Oh yeah.
You gotta go look it up, but it's a main staple over there, and it has a lot of meaning. It was so funny because once we educated the group on the cartouche, everybody wanted one. But when we went and we was looking at historical pieces, everybody recognizes the cartouche on the statues and stuff like that. But so
okay, we're gonna talk a little bit more about shopping because I'm a little upset because I feel like I did not get the full Egypt shopping
experience.
I didn't get that experience. I'm looking for the Galleria of Egypt, and we just did not hit there.
No, although we came close at that place, the Flower Cotton, whatever that was. When we went downstairs, they had that section.
That's true. They did.
But we didn't discover that until it was time
Right.
to go.
I don't know. I mean, a lot of people, I mean, we were tourists.
Yeah.
And so do you feel like he took us to tourist places? Like, I'm trying to get to the Galleria in Egypt. I'm trying to get to the suburbs of Egypt.
Yeah, he took us to the places that he felt like would be of interest. But I mean, I think maybe everybody else was pretty happy with the shopping, but us. But then when we got to the airport, they did have the Mecca of shopping
did, but we didn't have time.
But we didn't have time to go look at those stores.
So you know,
that's probably a good thing, Mary. What did you?
No, I needed to do some damage. You know, all I handed my granddaughter was an I Love Egypt t-shirt. I mean, she looked at me like, "This all you brought me back was an I Love Egypt t-shirt."
But she wouldn't want anything else up there, you know.
True.
So yeah.
But let's talk about, well, you came in on the tail end when we went to the oil shop. Oh my God. So we went to the oil shop that makes the essence that's used for the different perfumes and colognes. Mm-hmm. This essence, the actual oil from the flower, the organic, I don't know what other way to explain it, but you get the 100 proof oil, mm-hmm. and it hasn't been mixed with alcohol or other chemicals that the other what am I trying to
perfumes
say?
And stuff
other perfumes and stuff that are made with. Yeah, it is the real organic deal. Mm-hmm. And I did buy a set of the essence oils that smell just fabulous.
So have you been using them since?
So like today I have on lotus flower. I don't know if you can smell it or not, but I have that on.
I can't see that
it's not you don't see the aroma coming from that. But yeah, so I was very impressed with that, and I did buy some. We went to a the papyrus shop, the paper and how they make that.
But that paper was expensive.
Wow, it was.
It's very expensive, and then
but it was neat though.
It was. Yeah. But I say that because one of our lady that was in the group, she bought this paper somewhere where we were.
Oh yeah, from one of the vendors.
Yeah, and she paid $2. But when you went to this other place,
it was like $20 a sheet.
That's a blank sheet.
That's a blank sheet.
But if you got something with something on it, I would say it was no less than $100. And so we were all looking at her like, "Why you didn't tell us you got this $2 paper?"
$2.
But you know, it is. And they made the paper out of it, and then the skin is what they what they use to make the basket that back then when Moses floated on. Mm-hmm. So it was neat.
Very educational. So I just wrote a note like, would you consider our Egypt journey a religious tour? I mean, it's not like in Israel, but it was a place that existed before Christ, when Israel was in bondage.
I think it depends on the person. So like for me, when I reflected on the whole trip, like the Holy Land and the Egypt, it was, I mean, maybe the first time I went to the Jerusalem, it was like a religious trip. But this time it really wasn't that for me. And I think as I mature and as I grow, it's more of a reflective trip of seeing God's hand in various parts of the country.
I like that.
Because I mean, like, you could see God's hand in Egypt, you can see God's hand in Israel, and that's kind of where I am now. It's like, because we're here in America, we see God through the lenses of how we live in America.
Right.
But if you sit back and you think about, like, our God is the biggest diversity and inclusion officer there is. And you can just see him, like, we look different, we talk different, but you see God in people and in the surrounding environment. And that's kind of what I got out of it.
Okay, I like that. Well thought out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, I'm just in a part of my life where, like, the big or small, like, you know, people, when we got back, like even today at church, we're back and everybody is so excited to see us and, you know, want to talk about. But God is with me if I'm here in America. And God is with me. And so for me, I don't get caught up in all of because it's a lot of commercialism
For
and
sure,
stuff.
for sure.
But if you get past that and you look through it through a lens of how God is present there right now, like we're
Yeah.
here, He's there right now,
True,
and
true,
so
true.
it's just like that's where I get really like I don't have words for it. To
Okay.
explain it.
Awesome. All right. Overall, 1 out of 10, what would you give the Egypt trip? 1 out of 10.
1 out of 10, I'll still give it a 10
Okay.
because it was something I've never experienced
True,
before.
true,
So
true.
I can't compare it to anything
Okay.
because like right now it's still top because I've
Yeah.
never been, and I'm like, I don't have to go back,
Okay.
but now I can say I've seen the experiment, the pyramids, and then even with the museum and the mummies and stuff. Like I don't like mummies. I've always shied away from the movies, and I didn't really want to see it when we went to the museum.
Y'all, they had wait. They had an actual mummy. They had
Yes.
a woman and they had a baby
Yes.
that had been mummified.
Yes.
And they had it off in this case, which was weird.
It was weird. And I when they talked before we got there, he let us know that they had one. I was like, I'm not gonna see that.
Yeah.
But then when you get there and I didn't stare at it.
Right.
When you look at it, it's still like amazement.
Right.
That this mummy is from 5,000-6,000 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it wasn't as scary as you would think, but it's like, okay, this was once a.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Too, what was really amazing is when we think about mummies, we just think about them wrapped up in them bandages.
Right.
But no, I mean, like their caskets and stuff were very exquisite.
Yes.
If you were mummified, you were somebody.
You were somebody.
And like the caskets alone would be like, okay, I wouldn't mind getting there. If I'm gonna go out, I'll be
go out with
like this is the Lamborghini Rolls Royce of caskets. Like even the guy said on one of the things it was like 34 karat gold. And we 34 karat. Thought it just went up to 24, but when you went and looked, I mean, like you could see the yeah. So that's why I give it a 10. Because you just can't see stuff like this unless you go.
Right.
Even with all the hotels and all of the discomforts, I still would have given it a 10. Not to mention, like when we went, it was a big group.
True. And
we had our little differences, but it was just like we were just on a big family vacation. Yeah. So it was, that's the fellowship and all of that and looking out for each other, taking care of each other. It was a good trip.
And the thing is, even though our pastor sponsored this trip, or hosted the trip, we still had people that were not members of our church that signed up. So it's not just specific or restricted to people at our church. We met people in Istanbul that were part of the trip, that lived in, where were they from? Philadelphia, that met us in Istanbul, Atlanta, St. Louis. So it was a lot of people, 38 total, we mentioned that. So it was a good trip.
What about you? What was it? Out of 10, what was it for you?
For me, I'm gonna have to give it about an 8. I'm sorry. You know I'm a shopper, so I'm just like, I'm gonna
still salty about not being able to shop.
I'm gonna give it about an 8. But again, it was a great experience to be there.
Yeah.
And it's always good when you study and see things in books and on TV or internet, and then to actually go there in person, it's nothing like it. It truly is one of those things where, girl, you had to have been there to experience that. So as we begin to wrap up, let's talk about the travel home. Did it seem like it was longer going home than going there? I think maybe we were excited going there.
Yeah.
But coming home.
It was, coming home wasn't bad. It never really is.
Okay.
It's the anticipation of getting there that makes it so long. And I'm not much of a movie watcher, but on the way there, I was watching a couple of movies. So then I had a couple of movies lined up. And then before we knew it, we came home. And then when we got to DFW going through customs, I think that was the easiest customs that I have ever been through throughout all of my travel.
Good. Yeah. So overall, great experience. If you get an opportunity to do travel, let me tell you, a guided travel tour to me when you're going away like that, to have
Mhm.
someone that is native to the area
Yeah.
to take you all around is like the best, that you don't
Yeah.
have to worry about
No,
anything.
I would not
Yeah.
travel to places like that without having
Yeah.
a tour. Now it's going to be a little bit more expensive,
Right, right.
but
But everything is covered.
it's worth it.
It is.
Really is worth it. Not to mention, like Egypt, um, safety. Like we had an armed guard. I don't know
Oh,
that we
yeah,
mentioned
we
that.
didn't mention
But
that.
we had an armed guard the whole time
In Egypt.
and it's not necessarily that we are, not safe to travel, but that's kind of the status things for
Mhm.
Americans to have an armed guard.
Right.
And
right.
these are little things that you don't know if
Yeah.
you go out there on your own. So yes, be prayerful about the tour company. And make sure that you research and it just would be better if you
True.
get with a Christian tour company.
There you go.
Versus,
there you go.
the others that are out there, which they're probably fine, but if that's you want to get that angle of the trip, then you need to make sure it's with a Christian tour company.
So you don't always have a replay on my podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I was thinking, I'm like, we didn't really sing a lot in Egypt. I don't think we sung at all in Egypt. Where when we were in Israel, we, had our morning devotion, and prayer, and a song. We didn't really do that in Egypt.
I don't think we didn't really do that. And I think maybe too, because this was like the last part of the trip.
Mm-hmm.
By the time we got on the bus in the morning, we were kind of wore out.
Yeah.
And so pastor would give his little sermonette and prayer, and then people were just kind of quiet.
Right.
And then we came alive. So that was one of the things too, is it was a long trip.
It was.
for 14 days.
And we didn't get a free day in Egypt. Well, we only had 4 or 5 days there.
Yeah.
So we didn't get a free day like we got in Israel to go and explore, which may have been for safety reasons or what have you, or just the time that we were there.
Well, we didn't need a free day because we barely had time to do,
to
do what we needed to do.
I know, but overall, again, it was a great trip, a great experience. Yolanda said she is back to her normal sleeping schedule.
Yeah.
I wish I could say the same, but I feel like I'm sleepy right now. You have no idea, but
I'm hungry right now because I was fasting.
Oh, okay.
So we can go ahead and wrap it up. Except my stomach is over here. Yeah, but no, by Thursday, like my first
but
day.
the sleep deprivation is real.
Oh, it is.
It is very real when you get that from a trip.
My first day at work on that Tuesday, we got back that Sunday night, so I had Monday to kind of get myself together.
Yeah.
That Tuesday, I had a call with my boss at 3:30, and like 10 minutes in, I'm just like, what did I just say? And then my boss said, you know what, Yolanda, when we get off this call, I need for you to log off. And I said, you know what, I'm just out of it. And she was like, it was that serious. So about from 4 to about 8:30 that Tuesday, I slept like nobody's business.
Yeah, it's real.
But yeah, the Thursday morning, I woke up. I said I slept throughout the night.
Okay.
And I've been good ever since.
Okay, well that's good. So my replay, I heard this song. I love Ryan Ellis. He's been on my replay. He's got a new song out called I Believe. That's kind of been what's been playing for me this past week. You sent me a song. I can't remember what it was right now. It was an oldie,
it was an oldie, but a good one. As my grandma used to sing. Yeah, I don't know.
She'll have to find it, but Yolanda, in her morning devotion, sometimes she'll shoot me a song that was on her mind.
Another day.
Just another day. That the Lord
has kept me.
Okay, yeah. So that was a good one. Yes. So anyway, this has been a recap of our Egypt travel. So I hope that you have enjoyed both of the YouTube videos, podcasts, social media, and the blog. There's 2 blogs out there. One is called My Holy Travels 2023.wordpress.com that talks about the Israel portion of it. And then My Holy Egypt Travels .wordpress.com talks about the Egypt part of our trip. So you can check both of them out, the blog out and YouTube videos, or listen to the podcast wherever you get a podcast. Let's throw that in there.
Can we just talk about these? So, you know what, Mary has blessed a lot of people with these blogs. But when I got back to work, there was people have gone out, I mean, and literally followed this blog every day while we were on the trip. But there was this one picture that you had posted of me at the Better Way Tea Place. Because one of my team members said Mary was wrong for posting this picture, and I said I was
waiting for you to catch that.
But I just kind of chuckled to myself because I was like, people were really journeying.
Yeah, they were.
So big thank you, a big shout out, because so many people have comment, and I know that they were following because they were in the details. So I will tell you, Mary, you need to take that picture down, because I got a picture. I'll show you after the podcast. I mean, after this, but I got a picture of you. If you don't take that picture down, this picture is going to get posted. This picture is good. So thank you for listening to us. But this is kind of how we did the whole trip. So
it is. And I will say, like, you are the best roommate. Yolanda is the best roommate because she keeps it real. That's all I'm saying. People that know Yolanda, y'all know how real she keep it. She keep it that real with me as well. So to be in a room for 14 days, to be roommates, we just kind of, the first night we stayed up talking all night, like we hadn't seen each other, but but she is the best roommate though. All right, thanks for tuning in. Goodbye.